Hey guys, how's it going? This is the Bald Metal Nerd coming at you with another wonderful vid. In this one, I'm going to take a personal note here and I'm going to talk about how metal has just impacted my life, right? I'm not going to be talking about any particular bands or analyzing the music in any real way. I'm just going to talk about how it's affected me as a person, right? So, um, going back to the beginning when I first discovered metal, um, I just remember hearing it for the first time and thinking to myself, wow, this is just so amazing. I just remember being utterly amazed by the music, and thinking it was one of the most incredible things I had ever experienced, right? And it brought me a sense of awe, uh, for sure. When it was when it was a new thing to me, right? Before it was just routine. Um, and I gobbled up as much of it as I could, and I was absolutely voracious, right? And right from the beginning, metal had an impact, kind of on my personality a little bit, right? Like I had a lot of pride in the fact that I was a metal fan. I was extremely proud of it. Uh, from day one, right? And of course, I was eager to, after listening to it for a few years, um, I was eager to, assert, quote, my individuality via metal, right? Ironically, by, conforming to the subculture, but I know how ironic that is now, but, I saw metal as a way of separating myself from the other people I was around. Because, as I've said before, I had a hard time in school. I, was definitely bullied by the other kids. Um, and most of the kids weren't metal fans. The ones who bullied me most certainly weren't. So I found that I thought of metal as a way like, well, I'm better than these assholes. These pieces of shit don't even like metal, so fuck them. I'm better than them because I like metal, and that's honestly was part of what I believed as a teenager, right? Um, and then, of course, during that time period, um, I made a couple of friends based on the fact simply that we liked heavy metal, right? In fact, there have been several friends over the course of my life where that is primarily the reason we were friends, is because we were, you know, um, both metalheads. In fact, the first time I used illegal drugs was, was with my friend who was a metalhead. Marijuana, of course, is the drug in question, right? Um, so yeah, it's definitely had a big impact on me. I had some great experiences with that friend in high school. I've lost touch with him, of course, since, because he was a high school friend, and that just tends to happen. So yeah, it definitely influenced the way I dressed big time. As I said before in a previous video, it also, I think, impacted my personality. I think it gave me a lot of self confidence that I may not have had without it. It's not the only. It certainly is a much smaller effect now, but back then, it gave me a lot of confidence to do things that maybe I wouldn't have had the confidence to do without it. So during my younger years, I think it had a hugely positive effect on me for the most part. Um, it definitely helped get me through some, quote, dark times in my life, right? I was able to listen to the angry music and feel a little bit better about my situation, knowing that there were others who at least seemed as angry as I was. Um, and that's pretty much how it was for me until the internet came along. And then, of course, when the internet came along, I was able to find like-minded people, right? So that happened in the later part of high school and when I was a young adult. I interacted with well, hell, some metal artists back in the day, and other fans through Usenet. Usenet used to be a giant discussion forum on the internet. It's pretty much dead now, except for binaries. Well, we only need to talk about Usenet. It was essentially a bulletin board system where you would just subscribe to different news groups and you could post and respond to messages through a Usenet client. And I was pretty active for a while on a couple of different ones. Basically, alt rock and roll metal, alt rock and roll heavy. There was one dedicated to Metallica and Slayer. I was active on those. Megadeth, I was active on. Yeah, those were the major ones. And I made a number of friends on those news groups. I never met any of them in real life. They were just internet friends, but still, it was a lot of fun. In fact, during that time, I actually tape traded through the mail with some of the guys I met through Usenet. And bought some, traded for CDs, all kinds of stuff through that. That was a lot of fun. That was essentially, you would almost call that the VC before YouTube was a thing, right? This was definitely this was before most people had broadband. This was still back in the dial-up modem days. And then, of course, after those died, essentially, I did have another metal friend, but this was basically a mutual friend introduced us, and he's still my friend now. And the primary reason we became friends was we both share a mutual love of metal, and we still talk pretty regularly. And when I talk to him, we pretty much always talk about metal. So I do have one real life person who is, a metalhead like me, and we're friends because of that. And it is good to have at least one friend in real life who is into that as you are, right? So, also I think when I was younger and I had, quote, the metal look, much more so than I do now, I think that it did help with a few relationships, actually, that I had, ironically. No girl ever directly came out and told me that they thought it was hot that I dressed like that. But I think a number of girls liked it back in the day because I was amazed, honestly, in my younger days, how good looking some of the girls that I managed to get with were. Because I can tell you, I mean, based on my stunning visage you see now, I was in my opinion, pretty schlubby looking dude during that time period. But some of the girls that I dated and were into me were, in my opinion, way the hell out of my league. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it had anything to do with that, but I think it might have. I don't know. That's a maybe thing, right? So go figure. There's no accounting for taste. So that brings me to, the present era, because how does metal impact me now, right? Well, the way I see it impacting my life right now, it's obviously still my favorite type of music. I think it's a great hobby. Clearly, beyond just the music and the hobby aspect of it, in the collecting of the CDs and records and all that stuff, and my real life friend who's a quote metalhead, the biggest impact it has on me now, of course, is this YouTube channel, right? These silly videos that I make, and you guys are awesome enough to come and comment on and interact with me, and it's nice to have essentially a much better version of Usenet. That's what I see this as. I see this as Usenet just It's better because I can actually like see and hear you guys, because obviously a lot of quote my YouTube friends are people that make videos as well, so I know what you look like, I know what you sound like, and that's powerful. I mean, it's nice even just words, but actually seeing somebody and interacting with them in that way feels a lot more natural. It feels like you definitely have more of a connection with a person that way, at least for me. So the way metal affects me now, I think, is still largely very positive. It can still get me pumped up if I listen to the right type of music at the right time. I still really enjoy it, and I still think it's awesome. So that's how metal has impacted my life overall, I guess. Oh, I guess the biggest probably negative effect it's had on me, because there's one thing that it's my fault, not the music's fault. When I was young, I went to several concerts without earplugs. I don't know, maybe it did take that many for this to happen. Maybe 10 or 11 concerts total, if that. To where I got, permanent tinnitus after that. Now, I don't have an extremely bad case of it, but I do have it. If I'm in a quiet room, I hear the ringing in my ears. Period. I just do. Right now, I don't hear any because, well, actually, no, I guess that's not true. I do hear it a little bit because my computer fan is going, so that cancels it out some, but I do still hear it a little bit. Now, if I was listening to music, I wouldn't hear any ringing in my ears, but I do still hear it some. So that's probably the only real negative impact it's had on me. So I guess that's pretty much it. Of course, let me know in the comments below how it's impacted you, if you think it's been good or bad, indifferent, whatever. That's pretty much it. As always, if you like this, you know what to do, right? That's pretty much it. As always, thank you so much for watching. Live long and prosper. Keep on rocking.